The culture is actually
The goddamn run the damn
Oh no, there's a man down.
calling both games.
It's first for everything, isn't there? Normally, the NFL trade deadline is a time when little happens. A few minor trades, since everyone's usually jammed up against the cap. Would take too long for players to adjust to new playbooks. The winds are starting to change on that front. Last year, we had a few big trades, mainly with Von Miller going to the Rams. This year, we experienced actual moving and shaking. In the NFL, Christian McCaffrey going off to the 49ers and James Robinson to the Jets were merely an appetizer of things to come. 20 players moved in total, which is unheard of in this league. The pushes to go all in have commenced. Here's what happened. The Bears are in a state of transition. Turns out it isn't just Robert Quinn headed out to promised lands east. The Roquan Smith saga has reached a predictable end. Chicago was never going to pay him, we all knew this. By sending him off to Baltimore for 2nd and 5th round picks, they at least get something for him. Smith should be an instant upgrade for the Ravens at linebacker. And hopefully that defense can stay healthy enough to make a playoff push. As Maryland celebrates the hopeful end of Patrick Queen, there are other concerns in Chicago. They need to get help for Justin Fields. He's shown improvement over the past few weeks. It's the most shocking revelation of all. They're allowing him to utilize his strengths as a quarterback. It's incredible, but he has no receivers, or anything to prevent him from death. The logic is sound. Acquire a big target for him to throw to. Who do they get? Oh no. Chase Claypool? And you traded your own second to get him? The so-called top 3 receiver of the league. He doesn't use his body in contested coverages. He runs poor routes and has terrible situational awareness. You have to ask why a team with a rookie quarterback that could use good receivers is trading away a wide receiver. As a man who's experienced with the eternal frustration of Mapletron, have fun, Bears fans. You'll be frustrated with him by week 13. Being traded away? Never heard of her. Welcome back to hell, Detroit. You have no defense, your offense falters at times, and the Lions have been sentenced back to the basement. Times are suspicious in the Motor City. Detroit has never been known for making wise moves. At the deadline, rumors of selling flare up, but they won't do anything that stupid, right? What could they do? Trade one of their best offensive weapons to a divisional rival for a minimal return? Trading TJ Hawkinson to the Vikings to move up about 40 spots in the draft? It's like Matt Millen never left. The Lions being the Lions, I guess. Minnesota did need a tight end. Herb Smith's body broke when being transported again, so Hawkinson is brought in. It's honestly an upgrade at a position where the Vikings can make a deep push. And he's under control for another season. I've been screaming it to the heavens all year, and I'll say it again. Firing Mike Zimmer and Rick Spielman was the best move of the offseason. If they were still here, the Vikings wouldn't have even tried this. In the cold tundra of Lambeau, Green Bay stews and plans their next move. Their offense has glaring flaws. Mainly everything. They need offensive linemen and they need wide receivers. Rumors of the Packers trying to go for big game burn on the hot stove. Opening up the pot, what do they find? Nothing. There was literally nothing in the pot. It burned on the open fire. They tried to make deals, but couldn't come to terms with anyone on the market. It was for the best with the going rights. Unfortunately, it might cost them another chance at a blown home game at Lambeau. Such a shame. People overlook it since the Rams won a Super Bowl last year, but they're in some incredibly deep shit. Their offensive line has failed to mesh at all since Whitworth retired. Matthew Stafford only throws to Kupp and Higbee, and that's if his elbow doesn't turn into rubber. Despite glaring flaws and the increasing reality that a repeat may not be in the cards, LA has only one sentence to say. Fuck them pigs. They tried to go after Christian McCaffrey and failed. They tried to trade multiple firsts for Brian Burns and failed. What were those firsts for, 2031? Were those guys magically gonna play offensive line as well or something? The Rams are going to force the NFL to implement the Stepien rule at this rate. Oh yeah, and Cam Akers is still gathering dust in the shed. Did anyone remember to feed him? The G-Men this year has been a pleasant surprise. They may be dancing through raindrops, but they're winning games they normally lose in embarrassing fashion. And that's a testament to the new regime they have. This is in spite of trying to clean up the errors made by Dave Gettleman. One just happened to be Kadarius Toney. Solid wideout. whenever he bothered to step on the field. He was injury prone, and if rumblings are correct, a malcontent. They drafted his replacement in Wan'Dale Robinson in the last draft. The writing was on the wall. His new destination? Kansas City, where he somehow got a compensatory 3rd and a 6th round pick. Now that I say this, watch him become the next Tyreek Hill with his excellent agility in an Andy Reid offense. Not that the Giants care, they just want receivers that can move their legs and catch. Hey, OBJ, you feel like coming back? Miami. The time is now to strike for a shot at another ring. It's been far too long since they've come close to that summit. But with these offseason moves, with this offense at full strength, with their solid weapons on defense, who stops them? The answer is clear. They need to add. What they could use is a really nice piece on the edge to pair with Jalen Phillips. And guess who's selling an edge piece? Denver. It's not Von Miller, but Bradley Chubb is a beast all his own. Dolphins fans are now getting Chubbs of their own. Remember, they still have San Francisco's first rounder thanks to the Trey Lance deal. They can use that pick instead of their own to move for him. Plus, the Dolphins are looking to sign him long term. Denver even took Chase Edmonds in order for Mike McDaniel to get his favorite toy in Jeff Wilson. If Chubb stays healthy, Miami has a legit case to claim the AFC this year. Broncos country was rumored to be riding Jerry Jeudy off into the sunset as well, but they demanded too much for anyone to pounce on it. They have some injuries at edge, so grab a temporary placeholder in Jacob Martin. Let's ride? It has to be hell to be a Jags fan. You have all this talent in the organization that gets traded for pennies or picks that become nothing. James Robinson was just the latest example of such. But do you really trust this team? With all of those draft picks in tow? Being guided off a ledge by Trent Baalke? Please do something to help the team, man. Get some talent in here! No, not like that! You gambled on Calvin Ridley? A long-range bet? At least it doesn't cost much unless you extend him, but still. This is a baffling move for Jacksonville to make. Damn good talent, but what's to say that the Jags won't squander it like everyone else? This team needs Jesus. Elsewhere in the AFC South, the perennial flower is blooming. Trade rumors involving Brandon Cooks. He's like the newly built house that's had 5 owners in 8 years. There's nothing wrong with the place. People get wowed by its open concept and potential for expansion, and they just get bored with it and flip it while they can at least break even. Little did Houston know that we're in a bit of a housing bust right now. Mortgage rates are too high for investors. Have you seen what that does to an $18 million salary figure in 2023? That means he's not getting traded. Dallas was interested in paying for Cooks, but then that would mean admitting they fucked up and giving away Amari Cooper for peanuts. No go there. Back into the tank, Brandon. We'll try this again in the offseason. Another rumored piece, thanks to a trade demand, was Kareem Hunt. He doesn't have the luster he had as a young back in Kansas City, but I think he could give a playoff-caliber team a nice kick. Cleveland wanted a 4th for him. However, there were no bites. This goes to show how far his value has fallen from his prime. I think it may work out for the Browns, though. They're still in striking distance for a playoff spot as long as they can stay around 500. The Saints are in the same boat. They're aging and injury-prone, they lack quality coaching as in years past, but look how shit the NFC South is this year. The Falcons are leading it. New Orleans still has a chance. Alvin Kamara was only going to be traded if they could get a haul for him. And that wasn't happening with a potential suspension dangling from his neck. They will continue to march on, and hope that they can gain a shred of health and good luck. How the hell did the Steelers get a 2nd-round pick for Claypool? Shouldn't have been worth more than a 3rd, but if someone's willing to trade that for him, then you take it. Pittsburgh may be staring down the barrel of a long-avoided rebuild, but they can nab who they really wanted to draft in the 2016 draft in William Jackson. He may be skunked from being exposed to too much light, but he only cost a few pennies. Washington took on a ton of his cap as a sunken cost. Maybe they're playing long-range game and prepping for the tank bowl. It was no secret that the Bills were trying to get another running back for their offense. The push to get back to the Super Bowl is a strong one, but they have some tweaking that needs to be done. They were linked to every running back worth a damn. But Buffalo needs to wait for the right offer. It came from Indianapolis, and the excellent pass-catching option in Naheem Hines. The prime backfield receiving option was a weakness for the Bills, and Hines unironically fits the bill perfectly. He didn't cost a ton either, just excess goods in Zach Moss and a 6th. Good bit of business. And with that, the trade deadline has passed. Somehow, moves were made. And I think this is what the short-term future is going to hold for the NFL. The Rams set the blueprint, and People will do anything to chase a ring. We'll see you next week.
Four-man rush. Fields stepping up. Sidearm sling. He's got a connection. There goes Montgomery, who lost the football, and the Cowboys have it. It's Parsons on top of it. Micah Parsons on the move, and Micah Parsons is in.